Okay, so the next thing to talk about with motor controllers is how do you control them? There's actually two ways to control a motor controller. One is through a method called PWM, and one is through CAN. PWM is called pulse width modulation. And the way this works is you're sending a signal to the motor controller. It looks kind of like this. And to adjust how fast or slow it goes, you're adjusting how wide these gaps are. So it's a very simple control. There's not a lot you can do with it, but it works really well for what it works for. The other way to control them is the CAN, which is the, I believe, controlled area network. And it works a little bit different. If you've got, I don't want to use yellow. If you've got a device, so here's motor controller number 1, and here's motor controller number 2, and over here is the CPU. What actually happens is you are chaining one device to the next. And so instead of saying, hey, everybody connects back to the CPU directly, they all connect to each other and they're listening for messages. And so instead of sending this very simple, signal, you're actually sending a packet with a lot of data in it. And so the benefit here is you can control these motors in a more granular way. There's a lot more you can do with them, and they can tell you a lot of information back. So a good example of this is PWM. You can say, hey motor, go this fast. CAN, you can say, hey motor, I want you to try to go to this position. Or hey motor, I want you to try to go to this speed. In addition, you can say, hey motor, how fast are you going in degrees? Or hey motor, what's your current temperature? You can't do all that with just PWM because that's that very limited amount of information. So we're gonna look at both. PWM we're gonna look at because it's just so much simpler and it's an easier way to start. But then CAN we'll also look at because it's going to be how you use things in the wild more. Any questions about kind of these two different methodologies? That's kind of a broad overview. You can get way more granular and more detailed on it, but that's kind of a brief overview.